everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for the Untangle 101 on Command Center. Today we'll be showcasing our latest cloud-based centralized management product, Untangle Command Center. And we have Timur on the line, who is our Chief Technology Officer, and he will be detailing out all of the great features with Command Center, taking us through a demonstration and showcasing us some of the new features that are to come soon. My name is Shannon Miles, and I'm your host today. I'm part of the product marketing team here, and we're happy to have you. Can you go to the next slide, please, Timur? Thank you very much. So just a few housekeeping rules before we get started. Make sure that you are correctly dialed in. If you do select to use a phone, you will need to use the access code provided. If you select to use your computer audio, just make sure you have that selection also selected. Just a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, so you can rewatch or revisit or share this webinar with anyone else that you wish to. And also, of course, we have people online to help answer questions throughout this demonstration. We have a couple members of our team on, so please submit any of your questions to the Q&A box on the right-hand side. And if we don't get to your question, or if you have a very specific question, please be sure to send an email to sales@untangle.com or support@untangle.com. And with that, I'll pass it over to Timur.
Thanks, Shannon. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Excellent. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you guys today about Command Center. It is a fairly new product offering that we launched at RSA this year. It is really kind of a SaaS extension of our award-winning firewall, and it provides a kind of a higher level view into multiple deployments that you may have across either multiple locations or even within a single network where you might have multiple untangles on premise. Really, the Command Center has been a long time coming, and we've had the feature requests around that for quite some time. And we really developed it with a couple of target demographics in mind. One is obviously small businesses that with distributed locations, whether it would be insurance agency offices, doctor's offices, et cetera, that might have multiple locations that need to be managed. Also targeting MSP specifically. So we have a growing MSP customer base who provide services to numerous organizations, and they want to be able to manage policies as well as manage the appliances remotely, and Command Center provides that functionality as well. We've looked at numerous ways to kind of implement this, Command Center was developed as a cloud-based technology. So it does not require any on-site deployments like some of our competitors do to aggregate the information, and it is completely hosted in the cloud, and it provides aggregated reporting and policy management and access functionality all from one console across all of your sites. So currently, as a SaaS offering, obviously Command Center is constantly evolving. So as we add features, if you're a Command Center subscriber, you will get those features out of the box as soon as they become available. If you are part of our beta program and you appreciate getting features or bugs as it may be, you can also live on the bleeding edge there. So Command Center provides several basic functionalities. So there's a dashboard reporting, which aggregates information from all of your appliances and gives you a bird's eye view of what's going on in your networks. The idea here is not to be as sophisticated as the dashboard reporting that we have on the NGFW itself, but really kind of give you a really high-level overview and provide some actionable data. If you see any kind of issues in underlying networks, you can actually get into the box and see what's going on the network in question. So the other thing that it does is basically provide individual appliance management. So it gives you a snapshot statistics of what's going on in an individual box, and it gives you ability to access the box remotely and see what's going on that deployment specifically. Furthermore, we've introduced basic policy and configuration management in Command Center, which allows you to seamlessly deploy configurations across the fleet of appliances that you may have. So let's talk a little bit about the dashboard. The dashboard gives you kind of a high-level view, as I mentioned, of everything that's going on in your deployments. So it gives you information about how many appliances you have online or offline, how many hosts are currently being protected by Untangles, the geographic distribution, and it provides you some top-level information about aggregated alerts that are happening on your networks. Furthermore, we added the audit functionality, the audit history functionality, which provides information about different things that are happening in your account. As a lot of our customers represent schools as well as hospitals and medical facilities, there are compliance requirements that audit information helps address by showing who logged into the appliance at what time, whether there's been any policy changes made, and things of that nature. We recently added also aggregated reports. So these are basically top-level reports of bandwidth utilization, various activities on the network, and these are currently not as customizable as the reports we have on the firewall itself, but they are meant to give you that actionable piece of data to say, hey, the bandwidth on this box is going out of control, I need to see what's going on that network. And then Command Center allows you to securely log into that machine and see what's going on. This functionality is currently in beta, and we're excited to be releasing it to the general population at the beginning of next week. Then you actually have the appliance view for individual appliances that you're managing. So in this case, you're actually able to provide specific information around the resource utilization on the box in question, the alerts that are specific to that box as opposed to the aggregated alerts that you see on the dashboard, as well as the hosts that are specific to that box as opposed to the hosts that you see on the dashboard, which will be aggregated across all of your appliances. Furthermore, there's ability to manage your backups, there's ability to manage your licenses, as well as ability to upgrade the software on multiple boxes at the same time. One of the interesting things about the secure remote access is that we've designed this particular feature in a slightly different way than the remote access works on the Untangle itself. When you enable remote access on the Untangle, it essentially exposes the Apache server that's running on the appliance to the external network, which obviously the system is password protected, but it still provides a little bit of a vulnerability. And furthermore, if your network topology is such that you have other network devices on the perimeter outer to your Untangle, then you actually have to go through quite a bit of network infrastructure setup in order to facilitate that remote access. Remote access, the way it's implemented in the Command Center, works a little bit differently. And the way that works is that the connection is open outbound and only stays open as long as you're logged into that appliance. Once you log out of your account, the connection is closed and the appliance is no longer accessible to the outside world. And this whole communication happens through a secure SSH tunnel. So the next piece of Command Center is the policy management. Policy management perhaps is a slight misnomer here because it does a lot more than just manage policies. As you may know, the way policies are set up on Untangle is a little bit different than you see in the competition. And in the sense, when you set up a policy, you're setting up a set of application configurations through which the session is going to traverse. And so the policy management via Command Center basically allows you to retrieve these configurations from individual policies that you may have set up across your Untangle fleet, and then be able to granularly deploy them into other boxes or even into other policies on the same box. And I will show this to you in the demo portion of the presentation. Moreover, besides the policies, there's obviously sort of global application settings that live on Untangle, whether it be alert settings or whether it be settings for service applications like VPN and so forth. And you're able to manage these configurations via the Policies tab in Command Center as well. So this kind of gives you an overview of what hopefully you already know, but basically the way the policy setup works is that you set up individual policies in Policy Manager, and then you define which apps are configured for these particular policies. So in this example that I have here, we have the students policy, which will go through the virus blocker, SSL inspector, web filter, bandwidth control, and application control. For teachers policies, I have the virus blocker, SSL inspector, and web filter. And then for IT admins, we're just looking for the virus blocker, which may prevent some nefarious actions from the sites that might typically be blocked by the web filter. In this configuration, we might have different configurations for individual pieces of this puzzle. So the web filter for the students policy, for example, may be filtering cheating websites. For the teachers policy, we may want to allow these websites so that the teachers can see if their students are cheating. And so on an individual appliance, this effectively amounts to the web filter having two different configurations, one which applies to the student policy and another one which applies to the teacher's policy. And Command Center will allow you to basically granularly capture what the settings are and then be able to deploy them to other policies on the same box or to other boxes in your fleet. The idea here is to configure once and deploy many. We did not go through the effort of redesigning the configuration UI in the Command Center because it's quite a bit of an involved process, and we really wanted to give the functionality to the user as quickly as possible. So the way we manage this is that you can configure one box to your liking and then pull the configuration from that box, which will be stored in the cloud, and then subsequently deploy that configuration to any boxes that you may currently have or may add in the future to your management portfolio. So without further ado, I will go into the demo unless there are any questions that I can field at this moment.
No, mostly just what's included. We will reiterate what is included later on in the webinar, but just to let everyone know, Command Center, we have up to 5 deployments that are included with your NG Firewall Complete package at no charge, and after that, we have pricing, which we can go over on the website later, Timur.
Okay, perfect. Okay, guys, can you see my browser window?
Yes.
Excellent. Okay, so to give you guys a heads up, right now, when you log into your account on Untangle, you kind of go into the My Account section of the website, which gives you ability to manage your contact information, manage your subscriptions, and things of that nature. And as part of our roadmap, we are moving that functionality into the Command Center. So a little bit further down the road, when you log into your account, you will go directly into the Command Center to see the overview of your fleet, as well as be able to manage your account information. But currently, Command Center resides over here on the side of the My Account tabs. And once you launch into it, it actually takes you to the Command Center application itself. There's quite a bit of work happening here in the background as we are aggregating information about your devices and connecting to them and seeing, verifying all the status of the account. So as I mentioned before, you get brought directly into the dashboard. And the dashboard gives you that 10,000 foot view of everything that's going on in your deployments. So in my particular configuration here, I have 13 appliances, 5 of which are offline and 8 of which are online. And they're protecting 58 hosts across those deployments. I get a snapshot of the geographical distribution of the appliances here. The size of the bubble is indicative of the relative size of that deployment. So basically the size of the bubble corresponds to the number of hosts that you have running on that appliance relative to the other deployments that you may have. So, and the red bubbles indicate the appliances which are currently offline. And you can basically navigate around this, this window and see everything else that's going on. Here in the appliance window, you have all your appliances listed. And by the way, I should mention that we are designing this similarly to the recent changes that were made on the firewall itself, where our widgets are adjustable and compatible with the mobile application layout. This will display quite well on a mobile device as well. However, with the grids, of course, there's always a fight for real estate. So I'd like to bring your attention to some of the changes to the grid layout they can do. And if you click down one of these menus, you can perform different sorting of the data that's displayed in the grid, but you can also add counts. So for example, here we don't display the host count behind the appliances by default, and you can easily bring that into the view if that's something that you need to look at. Clicking on the appliance here in the appliance grid will actually bring you to the individual page for that appliance, so you can see this, the statistics, and I'll show you that in a little bit. The hosts are aggregated across all of your devices, and so you can basically see where they reside and what their current IP behind that appliance currently is. There's additional information that you can view by clicking on the information itself. It is in techie geeky JSON, but it gives you the kind of the top level information that you may want to receive, and that's similar to what you would see in the active host grid on the Untangle itself. The alerts dashboard basically gives you alerts that are aggregated from various appliances that you may have, and these are the alerts that you have configured in the Untangle configuration itself. Basically, whenever the alert is generated on the Untangle, it will be also sent to the cloud. And of course, one thing I forgot to mention is that in order for all of this to work, you should have the Untangle Cloud option enabled in your configuration. The audit history, as I mentioned, is kind of a newer feature that aggregates all of your top-level account information. That's not necessarily specific to anything that's happening on any individual perimeter device, but is a more global thing. So here we could see that I logged in. You could see me playing around a little bit with adding appliances to the account and so forth. And again, if you look at this, it provides you more information about what the event itself is by clicking on it. I'm sure you guys have heard about WannaCry. That's been going around the block, and hopefully you've been kept up with the news. Untangle has been protecting their customers from day one. We've had the definition for this particular ransomware, and we were able to block it on the perimeter before it reached any hosts to propagate in its unusual worm-like behavior. The graphs below is something that is basically in beta right now, and we'll be releasing that at the beginning of next week. And that's basically giving you an aggregated bird's eye view of what basically your network utilization looks across your deployments. Here, we just launched this, as you could see, earlier this month, so I don't have a full 30-day history quite yet. But you can basically see what different appliances in your account are using for bandwidth, and if you see any anomalies there, that might be something that you want to check out. Similarly, we're breaking down top applications by bandwidth, again, aggregated across your entire deployments, top domains that are accessed across your entire deployments, as well as the host names across those deployments as well. And you can hover over some of these and you can see where they belong. Another thing that I want to mention here is this little help widget. This help widget is actually provides a little bit of contextual help. So if you're looking for relevant information topics pertaining to Command Center or otherwise, you can search for help here. And if you cannot find the help here, the Contact Us button will actually submit a ticket directly to our support team, and they will surely help you out with anything that you may need. So please use it if you have any questions, if you have any feature requests. I would love to hear from you because this is an evolving product, and ultimately we're kind of focused on trying to deliver the most value that we can to you. Some of these things that are coming out, you know, compared to the NGFW deployments, which we kind of have to be very systematic about, because once they're pushed out, and it's quite a bit of an effort to get people to update. I'm not sure why, but we have a lot of people still running our older versions. And if you are one of those people, please upgrade because you are missing out on some of the great features that we've been adding. It is totally worth the effort. With the cloud SaaS offering, we're actually able to change and swap things out really quickly. And so our sort of development approach has been to try to get the functionality into the customer's hand as quickly as possible, and then try to solicit feedback around that to see what we can tweak, what we can change and improve. So please don't hesitate to provide us the feedback that you may have. Okay, so let's jump to the appliance view. By the way, these are all paging grids, so you can navigate however you want and see what else is going on. And by clicking on the appliance itself, not the best one here. Let's look at something with a little bit more data. You actually get thrust into the appliance view itself. So here you get a similar looking grids that you see on the NGFW, giving you some basic information about the current utilization, the CPU load, and so forth. the licenses that are associated with the appliance. Currently, Command Center extended functionality only supports complete. However, you still will be able to see basic information about your Untangle even if it does not have a complete license. The reason that we kind of push for complete in this particular case is because it really allows us to kind of deliver uniform functionality across the deployments. So if you don't have complete, there's obviously a lot of considerations that have to go into what kind of policies we can deploy managing the UI, and there's a lot of complexities associated with that. And so the complete license really provides the best level of protection and network management functionality that we have, and it also provides kind of an efficient way for us to bring features on the cloud side for your deployment as well. So here, basically, you see a lot of the same things that you see on the dashboard, except the information that's contained therein is specific to this deployment. You could see some cloud backups. This is something that you don't see on the dashboard because this is actually specific to this particular appliance. But then you see your statistics and your network utilization that is specific to this box. And of course, here you have the remote access, which I will show you shortly. That will launch the remote session and allow you to get right into the box itself if you need to. Right here is the upgrade software button. Now, these boxes that we have here are all running 13, but essentially this allows you to select multiple boxes and be able to upgrade the software on multiple boxes at the same time, which is a pretty handy feature. And of course, if you have nothing selected, you kind of get a nice pretty view of the appliances that you may have. So on the Policies tab, essentially, we have application configurations broken out by application. And here you have alerts, which is kind of more of a global settings in the Untangle. And then going down the list, you basically have various application configurations that we have in the various functional areas of the product. And for each one, you can come in here and you can pull the current configuration from your fleet and then redeploy that, and I will show you that in a moment. And actually, the moment is now, so why don't I go ahead and do that? And to kind of show how that works, let me launch a remote access session. Which happens to be in a new tab. So basically what's happening right now is that we instructed the command server to enqueue a command for the Untangle to open a secure tunnel to our SSH relay, and then we're securely connecting you to that proxy and then directly into the Untangle itself. So here's your familiar UI. This is basically me logged into the box in real time. This box lives in our Colorado office. And here, basically, you have access to the entire functionality of the Untangle. So let's take a look here. So let's start with alerts. So if we take a look at the alert settings, which this is a version 12.2 that I'm showing you here, and you can do the same. In version 13, well, actually, let's just jump into that as well real quick. My incognito mode does not like pop-ups. If you guys haven't checked out version 13 yet, I highly recommend it. I think we've done significant UI improvements, significant performance improvements, particularly around buffer bloat, and it's definitely a huge step forward for us. There's lots of really cool little usability features in here that that I think make this product a lot better. So in version 13, the alerts have been slightly rebranded as events, and they appear directly in the configuration area. In version 12, the alerts live under the reports. So here in this particular case, I have some crazy alerts set, and basically I've configured a number of alerts, and they're all enabled. And I can use the command center to pull this. Well, actually, I already did, but I'll show you how it works anyway. So when you click Create Policy, it basically shows you the list of all the boxes that you have that are compatible with Command Center that you can retrieve policy from. And then you can select which one you want to retrieve the policy from. For the global policies, it basically shows you the host name and the UID. For applications that are typically policy specific, and by the way, Policy Manager should be installed in order to leverage this, it will show you the host name, the UID, as well as the policy name, which was known as a rack in the past life, but we're trying to update the nomenclature a little bit to be more explicit. So for things like virus block, a virus blocker configuration can exist in multiple incarnations on any given box. So on the V13 appliance that I have the default policy, the student's policy, the teacher's policy, and the lead policy, all having slightly different virus blocker configurations. But back to alerts, I'll show you the policy-specific app in a second. So if I create a policy here and I take a look at what's going on in V12, so I have all of these rules configured. I can pull these settings, and so what happened now is that we've instructed the appliance to send the configuration for the alerts to the cloud, and now it's stored on your account. So the nice thing about this is that if you want to deploy the settings associated with this box to some other box, this box does not really even have to be connected to the network. So in other words, you can configure once, and new boxes may come and go, and you still have the settings saved in your cloud account that you can redeploy however you need. So here you might want to say something like, this is all alerts enabled, V12 configuration. And this shows you the version of the appliance that the policy came from. This is important because some of the settings, while they'll be converted on the upgrade, they're not compatible out of the box with different major versions. So we try to enforce that here to prevent any problems from happening. So now that I saved this this policy with all the alerts enabled, let me show you how this may work. So I will disable half of these things. So now I only have some alerts enabled. And I jump out of here. But let's say I want to have all alerts enabled policy pushed back to the box. So here you do the set appliance policy, and again you select from the compatible appliances based on the version number. And I'm going to push it, in this particular case, I'm going to push it back to the same box I just pulled them from, but then since I've changed the settings on the box itself. So I push it over here. A slight moment of silence. While we wait, let's take a look at what's happening over here. Sometimes happens. So let me try this again. Make sure I'm selecting the right box. There. This particular box lives in as a VM behind a number of network appliances, so sometimes the connection is not entirely great. But if I return here and I go back to the reports, as you can see, all my alerts rules have been updated to have the previous configuration with all the alert rules set. Also, if we go back to the audit history, you could see that now we have an account audit event saying that I have pushed all alerts set policy to the box in question. So you actually have a history whenever somebody modifies the settings via Command Center for your audit and compliance purposes. So this is kind of the pattern. I think a very similar thing happens with the individual applications that are actually applied not globally but to a specific policy. So let me show you how that works. So let's take a look at my virus blocker. So just for simplicity, I'm going to mess around a little bit with the settings here. And disable all this stuff. And let's for some ridiculous reason, I want to scan only exes that are coming through and nothing else. Certainly not a very secure approach, but will be okay for demo purposes. So this is my default policy for virus blocker on this box. And so again, I will create the policy. I will find the box. Here I have a version 12 default. Actually, you know what? Let's switch to V13 for this one, because variety is a spice of life. Okay, so let's take a look at this. And I'll basically do the same thing here. All right, I'll scan the zips as well. Okay, my settings have been saved, and so I'm going to pull these settings now into the cloud. I was on the V13 default policy, so here I go. Let's grab that. Did it show up? There it is. And I will say scan zips, on the axes. Okay, so now when I select this and I select push policy, I'm presented with a similar choice that I did for the pull policy, where we have essentially the triplet of host name, UID, and the policy name on that appliance that I can push these settings to. So in my particular case, if I go to V13, let me exit here. And go, let's say, teacher's policy. Just refresh this guy real quick. You could see that, I don't have Untangle listed as a pass site here. like I did in the default policy, and I have all of my stuff selected here from before. So I will take this and I will say I want to deploy this policy to the teacher's policy on the Untangle box. And by the way, I'm doing this as a singleton, but the product is capable of pushing the same policy to multiple things at the same time, right? So you don't have to do it one by one. That's more or less the point of this. And so if I go ahead and refresh this, abracadabra, my settings have taken hold, and now the teacher's policy has been modified based on the config that I had on the cloud. And Untangle.com has been added to the past sites. So naturally, you can do the same deployment of configuration with individual applications and the specific policy configurations that you may have, as well as for more global settings like VPNs and captive portal settings and so forth. Again, in this particular case, if the setting is a global setting that's not policy specific, then you just get a top-level view. So we have a lot more exciting stuff coming down the road. Again, this is kind of a very early baby phase of the product, and we're sort of really excited to get all that functionality out to you as soon as possible. We are targeting this towards both multi-site deployments as well as MSPs. Multi-site deployments, whether it be school districts or governments, where obviously your IT department is managing multiple untangles across a geographical area, and for MSPs when you're managing various businesses, and we have a lot of features that are actually coming along that will be specific to these things, that you can be able to create a multi-tenant architecture where you can see information just like you do in the dashboard right now accumulated across all of your deployments, that you can filter it down and say, hey, this set of deployments belongs to this customer or this school district, and this set of deployments belongs to another school district, and you can slice and dice information based on those criteria. And so that's coming, as well as the account information coming into the command center, and we have some interesting kind of more of a skunkworks labs features that will be coming in here as well, that will leverage some of our Scout IQ and threat intelligence functionality to give you ability to look more into the IPs and the network traffic that you have traversing your deployments. That's the gist. Yep.
So we got some questions I wanted to pass over to you. Can you show us how people are asking how to upgrade to Command Center?
There's not really an upgrade step for Command Center. The only thing that you need to have to well, first of all, Command Center is accessible to everybody. So if you log into my account, and I got timed out, unfortunately. The Command Center button will be available here. So as Shannon mentioned, currently we offer Command Center for free up to 5 deployments that have Complete installed on. Complete is a requirement. If the Complete is not installed on the Untangle box, it's not going to propagate some of the information into the cloud, and it's not going to make the connections that are necessary to execute some of the functionality of the Command Center. You will still get some of the basic stats on the box like you do in the Servers tab here in Command Center, but you do need to have a Complete subscription. So that would be step 1. If you want to manage your box via Command Center, you should get Complete.
Could you touch on, there are some questions around upgrading appliances to the Complete package. Could you just show where that is in your accounts view under the subscriptions tab?
Oh, absolutely.
And again, you'll want to be on the Complete package as well as the latest version in order to utilize the Command Center functionality. So hopefully that'll help a lot of those questions that are coming in on how are you able to use Command Center. Also, we don't trial Command Center, but we do offer 5 deployments at no charge. So as long as your boxes are on complete, you have free access to 5 deployments to play around with. So you don't need to do a trial of it. You actually already have it. Sorry, Timur, I didn't mean to have you go back.
No, that's okay. Essentially, once you purchase a Command Center subscription, with the lowest tier being up to 25 deployments. So first of all, you, in order to get a complete subscription, you basically follow the steps in the store. You go through the purchase process. You figure out what and I'm sorry, I'm going to the develop account right now because that's where my account has the subscriptions. But here, basically, in the product configurator, you select NG Firewall Complete, select your tier, what you want to have, and you purchase that. After which, it shows up in the subscriptions list over here. And from here on, you can actually assign it to a specific appliance that you have. Once you do that, the license server is updated, and next time the appliance does a license check, all of the complete features will be pushed down on it, and the functionality will be unlocked. And from there on out, you just basically follow the configuration steps that you need to do. So if you're into policy management, you'll need to enable the policy manager, configure your policies, and so forth. And so at that point, the appliance will connect to the command center. Again, it's very important for you to by logging out, this guy kicks me out, of course. So let me just go back in here real quick to show you.
And if you're not on the complete package and maybe you're on individual applications or you're on a professional package, a legacy package, maybe a standard package, all of that is accessible to upgrade to the complete package from that subscriptions tab Timur was just on. You simply select the license, and then if you scroll down on that page a little bit, you'll see an upgrade tab. We've made it very easy to upgrade through the website, and you can do that at any time.
Let me take a look, see here. I think I'm in the wrong spot. So in both versions that are currently supported, which the minimum for Command Center is 12.2. So if you have 12.2, you got to make sure that in the support options you have connect to cloud enabled, and that will allow us to enable the Command Center functionality. If you, for whatever reason, don't like simplified management, then you certainly can disable this. But this, you got to make sure that this is checked off in order for the appliance to be fully managed via Command Center. And then beyond that, basically, once you have assigned a NG Firewall Complete subscription and it's propagated through the license, your appliance will now be managed via Command Center seamlessly.
Great. Thanks, Timur. That helps a lot. I think we'll go back to the slides now and see if any other questions come in.
Okay.
So as we mentioned numerous times, we do offer 5 appliances for free for the Command Center, and you must have a complete package on those devices in order to utilize Command Center. If you have questions, please ask. You can call our sales or email our sales team. They can help you go through that process. As always, we have the forums, we have our YouTube channel, which this webinar will be posted on there shortly after, so you can rewatch later. Can you go to the next slide, please, Timur? As always, we have professional services. If you are completely lost and have no idea what to do in terms of your network, or you're new to Untangle, or you have a completely new setup, new network, we're here to help. We have a a lot of very Untangle longevity users that are on our staff that can help you and have probably seen every type of situation out there. So we're here to help. Next slide. Let's see, so we have a variety of resources that I mentioned, sales support, we have our wiki, of course, our forums, we have a couple new tech talks coming. We do have our version 13 community webinar next week. We announced version 13 this week, and I know the question that'll come, when do I get 13? It is a rolling release, so you should see it hit your boxes in the next few weeks. If you want to get a detailed, in-depth review of all the features for 13, please join that webinar. It's next Wednesday, and Dirk Morris, our founder and Chief Product Officer, will be going through all of those new features and enhancements. And one more slide. I know Timur mentioned the WannaCry ransomware. We just want to make sure that we reiterate, as this is a hot topic for everyone, those customers that were on complete are completely safe. We have Scout IQ, which is our cloud threat intelligence engine that is integrated with our NG Firewall solution, and it identifies any new and emerging threats out there. So this helps act as a second layer of protection for our virus blocker, as well as additional protection. A virus blocker with web filter, you are protected. So if you are using Web Monitor or Virus Blocker Lite, you are most likely not protected. So make sure you upgrade to Complete to make sure that you are protected from this attack, as well as any new ones that may come out, because they're never going to stop. So make sure you're protected. And we wrote a blog about it if you're curious about that attack and how Untangle protected you. So thank you, Timur, for the great demonstration. If you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We're here to help. Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you. Bye.